Welcome. Step into our world of fear. Let's journey together in pursuit of mysterious tales and dark secrets. Are you ready? Because on this channel, the suspense never ends.
So back in 2015, I was a freshman in high school. On one weekend, I went to go down to my friend Andrew's house to meet up with other friends to go into DC. We had a great while in DC, but now it was getting dark outside, so we all started getting back on one of the trains. It was not becoming unnerving at first until we stopped at the Bethesda station. Four guys came in and were singing obnoxiously loud in the train and trying to intimidate people on the train. One of my friends, Gabby, was starting to get a bit scared. The loud singing woke up my friend Andrew, and he immediately knew something was up, as all of my other friends knew as well. The final stop where we got off was also the stop the four guys got off, but they were ahead of us, so we thought that it was over. After that, we started heading towards the parking lot, but my friend's mom wasn't there to pick us up, so we all stood there to wait. We were all talking in a circle. Then out of the blue, the four loud guys from earlier were walking towards us, but with more people this time. This now big group of people were starting to walk around us in circle, trying to intimidate us. We didn't know what was going to happen, so we all stood there just to wait for them to make their first move. They were starting then trying another intimidation tactic, which was starting to low-key scare my friends Gabby and Kimmy, but we all didn't want to make the first move. They broke into our social circle and were getting close to all of us, and even stepping on some of our shoes, when one of them said, "So y'all like reading books, huh?" My friend Andrew was slowly pulling out and trying to hide the fact that he was pulling out a knife, and so was I, but one of them saw it. Thankfully, they all started hitting away, but it was still very unnerving to experience. About 1 week later, a local news station posted on Twitter that a man was beaten to death and robbed at the same metro station. I still wonder to this day if that was the same group of people we had encountered a couple weeks prior. I was 17 years old at the time, and I was working at this amusement park in my city at one of the biggest fast food places there. We had just finished a busy shift, and we all decided to hang out after, and I ended up at a coworker's house. He lived right by a metro station, and at 3 a.m. I decided I'm going to head out. I walked to the metro station, and only then remembered that they all closed around 1:15 a.m. So I'm in a part of the city I don't know, with no way to get home. I try to call my mom on my cell phone, but of course it dies while I'm trying to, so I shuffle around in my pockets, find 50 cents, and use the payphone to give her a call. I explained the situation where I am and asked if she can pick me up. She's not happy about it, but she obliges. I'm sitting on the bench waiting for her, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this old man staring at me. He's tall, super slim, and is wearing jeans that are way too loose for his frame. I think nothing of it, even though at that time I should have wondered what he was just doing out there so late. While this wasn't a horrible part of the city, it wasn't the best place either. After a couple of minutes, I look back and he is still staring at me, only now when he sees me he starts grabbing himself over his jeans. I'm not freaked out, really, just more annoyed, because in my head I can take him if something happens, which is really dumb to think, because he could have been armed. I give him a dirty look, and he starts to walk off down the block building. blocking my view of him. I figure it's done, but I can't shake this feeling like he's still around, so I walk up to the curb of the block I'm on and look in the direction that he left. He didn't go very far. He was just standing there maybe 25 meters from me, still looking. I go back to sit down on the bench, realizing the situation I'm in now. I go back to check. A couple of minutes later, he's gone. Now I'm feeling a little uncomfortable, so I decided to leave the area. I figured I would walk towards the direction my mom was coming from and keep an eye out for her on my way. As I continue walking, I see cop cars and a bunch of police investigating a hair salon that had been broken into at some point. I figure the idea of meeting my mom was dumb, and after 10 minutes of walking, I decided to go back to the metro station. I'm standing on the curb and suddenly a red van pulls up alongside me, and the windows roll down. It's the same guy. He asks me if I need a lift, obviously knowing that this is not going to end well if I go in the car. I say no in no uncertain terms, and as he drives off, memorize his license plate as fast as I can. I'm shook up, but I remember the police officers at the salon. I walk all the way there, and they're still there. I explain the situation. I'm worried they won't take me seriously, but the cop was super nice and took down my statement and the license plate number. He told me to go back to the metro, and once they were done with the salon, they would be there to check in on me. Once I get back to the metro, about a block down is the same red van illegally parked, and with him clearly just in there waiting for me. I try to look like I don't see him, but at the same time being super vigilant that he doesn't get out of his car. At that same moment, the police pull up. I point at the red van, and the van at that point speeds off. The cops go after him and come back later saying that they went to check his house, and he wasn't there. I apologized for up and pointing him out, but the cop assured me that I did more than enough, and with a report now they can have an inkling of a case if this happens again. My mom pulls up, sees me talking with cops, and stares at me with daggers in her eyes. So creepy. Guy at the metro, I hope you weren't a serial killer, and I hope you were just looking for a prostitute and weren't looking to harm me, even though I have a feeling you were. It's horrifying to think it could have been that close. If I was a little less street smart, I hate knowing that people like that exist. A couple of years ago, when I was in college, my apartment mates and I had this tradition where we always get dinner at our favorite sushi restaurant at the beginning and end of every semester. We were all part of different friend groups, so it was really tough to find a time to go since everyone had plans all the time anyway. This particular time, it was the end of the semester, right before exams. We decided 8 p.m. on Thursday night, before we left, was going to be the only time we could do it. Now we lived about 10 minutes out from the heart of the city where this restaurant was, so there was no way of walking there. None of us had a car either, but the school gave us passes for this metro/subway system that ran all the way through the city and down to the next state, so we knew there was probably how we were going to get there. The city was one of those bigger metropolitan hubs, so it wasn't exactly the greatest place to be around at night. One of my roommates suggested taking a cab, but we were all pretty broke and decided we would deal with it. We took the metro down there that night, and it wasn't bad. We knew the area and there was a lot of people going to dinner that night. When we finished eating and talking, we realized just how late it had gotten and decided we better start heading back. My roommate suggested a cab again, but I took the metro a lot to work and told her it would be fine, so we waited at the station for the next train to come, and suddenly from our right we hear "want to see a magic trick." I turned around to see this guy putting a deck of cards in my face. He was kind of old and missing some teeth, but overall still fairly strong. You meet a lot of weird people at the station during the day, so he seemed harmless. I kind of smiled at him, but couldn't think of anything to say. One of my roommates, Rachel, is really sweet, and she just humors the guy and plays along. He starts asking her about where she lives, and she just says she's a student and lives close by it. Seems like forever, and this guy is still here talking to her, invading your space too, like poking her arm and nudging her shoe with his foot. She seems like she's fine though, and the train pulls up anyway, so he waves goodbye and heads over to what appears to be his group of friends. They're all a bit younger and have bigger builds, really intimidating to be honest, but it didn't bother us too much since they were so far away. We get on the train, and I ask Rachel about it, but she just waves it off, saying he seemed harmless, and I wanted to keep it that way. But then I noticed with each stop him and his friends keep getting closer to us. When he's about a cart away, he comes up to Rachel again and tugs on her arm. He says, "Come hang out with my buddies," and Rachel looks a little uncomfortable now, but she just says, "Sorry, I'd really like to stay with my friends." He keeps trying to get her to come over, but she just politely declines. He finally gives up and goes back to his group. And all of this commotion, we realize we missed our stop. The metro works on a 2-line system, so we figure out we need to get off at this next stop and take one line back to the connector stop and another line home. So when the door is open, we get out and head over to the place where they post the times for the next trains. Annoyingly, we have to wait another 20 minutes. We all freeze on our way over to the benches when we hear something behind us. A guy is whisper shouting, "Don't tell me we got off here because they did." We whip around to see the man and his group under the next street light. I just about died inside because there was literally no one else there, including station guards. Then the man whispers to his friend, "Wait, just give me a minute. I just want to talk to them. Maybe we can get them to come with us." His friend just shrugs like this is a normal suggestion, and they start over to us. I probably should explain this more, but none of us are intimidating in the slightest. I'm pretty tall, like 5 feet 11 inches, but definitely not the tech to be able to really fight anyone. Off top of that, we're all dressed up in short dresses and heels for our dinner, not the easiest to run, and so there are usually 2 platforms on each side of the station, one for each direction. We try our best to run across the tracks to the other side. All the while, this guy is shouting for us to wait up. His friends are following him too. He catches up to the platform and now is standing on the edge. It was almost unbelievable. Like a horror movie, the place is absolutely deserted, and there's just a few lights separating us from him. He waits for his friends, and they all walk slowly toward us. One of his friends says, "Don't be scared, we just want to talk." They get to us, and the guy immediately grabs Rachel's arm and starts pulling us toward him, and his friends were yelling, "Hey, and please don't," and holding on to her too. Another one of his friends is just getting the car, and we will go for a ride to make him happy. No big deal. Rachel looks absolutely horrified now, but almost like amazing fate, the next train pulls up next to us, and we jump the hill and they look kind of taken aback, like they weren't expecting that to happen. As the door is close, we could see him waving at his friends to hurry up, but luckily he doesn't make it. The train took us farther away than we were supposed to be, so it took us a while longer to get home. But once we did, we decided we just could never ride the metro at night anymore.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. Until the next video, goodbye.